The opinions expressed in the following paid program do not necessarily represent those of WJZ AM 1300, CBS Radio, its employees and sponsors.
This is AHA Business Radio, creating AHA moments for business, by business, and about business, providing opportunities to discover information to help you run your business and guide your decision making. The more you know, the better decisions you make. AHA Business Radio is produced by Allan Hirsh Advisors. For more information, log on to ahabusinessradio.com. To join in tonight's conversation, call 410-481-1300. Now, here's your host for AHA Business Radio, Allan Hirsh.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's show. My guest in the studio with me tonight is Secretary Kelly Schulz, who is the Secretary of Maryland's Department of Labor. Kelly, if I might, thank you. Or do you want to be called Miss Secretary or Secretary? What do you call?
I think my mom has been calling me Kelly for about 48 years, so I think that'll work here too.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
My first question for every guest is, what motivates you to get up in the morning and go to work?
I know that we can make a difference. I know that what we're doing at the Department of Labor has a huge impact on just about every Marylander in one way, shape, or form. And to be able to go to work in order to be a part of attending to the work of the people is something that's very, very rewarding to me.
Okay. So if anybody asks, because I usually start by asking how you got started, but in this particular case, I assume Governor Hogan asked you to serve in the position. So, and you said yes, and then the state Senate, I guess, approved your nomination.
That's a quick and easy version of it, yes.
But I know you have a history in business. But what? Tell me about the Department of Labor, what it does, and you know, I know it's one of the largest agencies within the state government. So, what are the things that you really do to help? You said make a difference and help people. So what does the Department of Labor do?
Sure. Well, the Department of Labor, one of my predecessors in this position called the Department of Labor the hall closet of state government. Because what do you do at home when you're getting ready for company to come over and you don't know where to put everything? You put it in the hall closet. Well, ironically enough, that seems to be what the legislature does with various programs. They say, we're not exactly sure where it fits, but we want this to be a part of state policy, so let's give it to the Department of Labor and they'll figure it out. So we're in the business of figuring it out. But we're blessed to have many programs. We have 6 major policy programs within the division. The first being what everybody knows is the Division of Unemployment Insurance. And I would like to say that we're changing the focus of that particular program to be the Reemployment Office as opposed to the Unemployment Office, and tying that into what is our other major program division, which is the Division of Workforce Development and Adult Learning, which I know we're going to go into a little bit further.
Yes, we are.
But that does everything workforce. We do all of the adult education, GED trainings, and correctional education, both GED and workforce training within all of our correctional facilities within the state. We have the Division of Occupational and Professional Licensing, and they license over 250,000 different licensees in a variety of boards, everything from cosmetologists to cemetery oversight to engineers.
And real estate appraisers, I guess.
Real estate appraisers, athletic commission. So there's a lot under their umbrella. They do a really great job.
Do you even know, I usually don't ask a question, I think you know it, how many different professions do you actually have to be certified in the state? And I don't want you to name them all.
Well, professions, so let me clarify, because some people think that since we're the licensing division that we do automobile licensing and RNs and all of that.
Okay.
Within our department, we don't do any healthcare licensing. So within the professional divisions or occupations, we have 26 boards, which, like I said, cover the gambit with home improvement contractors, engineers, appraisers, real estate, CPAs. So all of those business-related professions that you would think, interior designers.
Okay.
So about 250,000.
When I grew up, they were decorators, but now they prefer designers.
Interior designers. They have their own licensing board.
I know.
So that's a great group, interesting, and a lot of policy issues going on there.
One of my businesses, I had several working for me.
Oh, good.
In designing commercial kitchens and restaurants facilities.
They do amazing work.
Yes, they do. They do.
And that whole division does a great job with our boards, being able to make sure that we are helpful in creating new visions and maintaining that professional standard of the boards that we oversee. So it's a good group. We also have the Division of Financial Regulations, which does everything state banking-wise. So you have the state banks, not the federal banks. So you would think some of your smaller community banks are a part of that. Credit unions, mortgage loan originators, check cashing companies, they're all regulated under our Division of Financial Regulations. So that's a separate group.
It sounds like some of these really don't belong in labor, but as you said, they throw them in.
But we're making it work. We're making it work.
If I'm not mistaken, don't you... the elevator?
We do elevators, and that is within the next program, which is the Division of Labor and Industry, which... yes, our name is in every elevator in the state of Maryland. Hopefully, if it's not, then somebody's certification is expired. So right now we
they put it where they can't see it and put a notice it's in the office somewhere.
Yeah, that's tricky. Let's just say. But that division also does amusement ride safety. They also do everything from the employment standards, so wage and hourly employment, where you have the minimum wage that has come through, the paid sick leave bill comes through our office, prevailing wage, and then also all of our OSHA. Standards are run through that division, and it's called MOSH, the Maryland Occupation of Safety and Health. And so we have an entire structure for our OSHA.
So how many employees are involved in the Department of Labor?
We roughly have 1,600. It varies. We have contractual workers that come and go because one of our other divisions that we have, it's not necessarily a division. It's supposed to be the fun one. That is the Racing Commission, falls under the Department of Labor. So we have the Racing Commission, and they are their own separate entity, and they obviously regulate all of the horse racing in the state. And so obviously their seasons fluctuate.
So how do you keep all of this straight?
I have a great team. Right. The only way that we can do all of this is to be able to bring in the leadership, which we have been very fortunate to bring in some really, really wonderful leaders and visionaries to bring the department to the level which we think is going to be very prominent in the state, especially when we get into talking about economic development and the way of the future.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for just over 2 years, I guess. I don't know exactly when you got, but the governor's been in place 2 years.
From the beginning, January 2015.
Yes. So 2 years. What are some of the major changes and improvements that you think you've made? One I heard, and I don't know if the listening audience, if they have any calls, any questions for you or me, they can certainly call 410-481-1300. But one change that I heard in the discussion earlier was changing unemployment to reemployment.
That's right.
Because that's a much more positive way of expressing it. That sounds like a major change to me, even if it's just in the words.
I think it is a major change, and it is more major for our employees that have been working in that division. I think it's probably one of the divisions amongst all of them across the state and all of the agencies that have the longest tenured employees, state employees working there. So being able to change what that culture looks like and being able for them to understand, yes, it's very, very important to be able to get the benefit checks out on time to the correct people and make sure that we have that process put together. But it's equally as important to make sure that we understand that we don't need to have those customers. We would like to be able to find those customers their jobs so that they can continue on with their employment, because that's a dignity issue at some point in time, which we speak a lot about at the department.
So any other major changes that you've put in place before we go to the first break?
Well, I think one change that we did immediately, we heard a lot of feedback coming from our MOSH office, our OSHA regulatory agency, and there was a lot of dissatisfied customers that were across the state, and people saw the department that was coming into their property and they didn't want any part of what we were. We have created a partnership with our business community, with all of our stakeholders, both the businesses and the employees that work for them, and we've created an environment where we're there to teach and educate and train, as opposed to just having that gotcha moment. And I'm really proud of that, because we're starting to get good recognition from our stakeholders, both the employers and the employees across the state, for being able to come on and be a part of what their solution is, as opposed to just telling them
with their problems. They're doing it wrong. They've got this problem. They have to fix it. Instead of doing that, coming in with a positive attitude. Let's see how we can help you over whatever period of time to get this turned around and made right.
And it has, exactly. And
it's a totally different. It's a totally different way of communicating.
Exactly.
Just like unemployment to reemployment. And
the goal is the same. The goal is to be able to create a safe and healthy work environment. But how are we going to create the safe and healthy work environment? Let's end that first segment on that.
Perfect. Because it's why we do things and how we do things. When we come back from the commercial break, I will continue my conversation with Secretary Schulz. Later in the show, I will have the AHA Business Trivia Contest. I'm Allan Hirsh of Allan Hirsh Advisors, and this is AHA Business Radio on CBS Sports Radio 1300 AM. I'm Allan Hirsh, and I believe in making a difference in the lives of others. I help you understand your vision, both professional and personal, discover why you're in business, work with your visions to align them with your why, give you feedback on what is important, and hold you accountable for your decisions. All this so you can improve your life and improve the lives of the people around you. If that sounds like someone you want to work with, give me a call at 443-977-4500. That's 443-977-4500. Looking for a new website for your business? Need some help getting people on your pages? Adventure Web Interactive is your all-in-one website source. Our websites have won multiple awards and recognitions for innovation and design. Choose from services like website design, mobile app development, database integration, SEO, social media marketing, and content writing. Call Adventure Web today for a free consultation at 410-788-7007 or click on advp.com.
Did you know that in 2015, there was over $1 billion in theft? Construction sites are being targeted for their copper and equipment. Personal injury claims for retailers are up 74%. Your employees spend 2/3 of their day shopping online and using social media. SOS Tech Group offers comprehensive surveillance solutions to battle this growing epidemic. Call 410-559-7020 or visit sostechgroup.com for more info.
I read the Baltimore Business Journal, and so should you. The BBJ is the region's leading business-to-business news organization. If it relates to business, the BBJ has it. Learn who is growing, what your competition is doing, who the movers and shakers are, and how to reach them. Visit BaltimoreBusinessJournal.com for breaking news throughout the day. Sign up for daily newsletters. Follow your favorite reporters as they break news via online stories and Twitter. And read the paper each Friday for a deep dive into the stories that matter most.
Symphony Placements is Baltimore's leader in flexible staffing and human resource solutions. From temp to perm, direct hire, and payroll outsourcing, Symphony Placements continues to exceed their clients' expectations. Woman-owned, certified minority business, and ranked on the Inc. 5000 list. A full-service staffing agency that specializes in administrative, legal, healthcare, IT, call centers, hospitality, and convention services. They bring harmony to your staffing. Visit symphonyplacements.com for additional information. That's symphonyplacements.com.
Do retirement issues keep you up at night? Are you holding a portfolio filled with underperforming but costly investments? If so, call Troy Brewer, Senior VP of Investments at Wells Fargo Advisors. Troy has been helping clients for over 22 years and has a sound process to help get clients on track. Call the Brewer Investment Group today at 410-494-6815. It all starts with a conversation. Maybe it's time to have a fresh look at your retirement plan.
This has been a paid advertisement by the Brewer Investment Group of Wells Fargo Advisors, LLC.
Now back to AHA Business Radio, creating AHA moments for business, by business, and about business. Once again, here's your host, Allan Hirsh.
Welcome back to the show. I have Kelly Schulz, Secretary of Maryland's Department of Labor, in the studio with me. If you have any questions for Kelly or myself, please give us a call, 410-481-1300. Just before, we were talking about some of the big successes you have, and I know we want to talk a lot about one of the new programs, which is an old program for most of the show, but any other successes that you think the Department of Labor has had over the last couple of years?
Well, I guess going on the theme from the last, when we last spoke, it's one of the actual issues that the governor, one of his main priorities for his entire cabinet and what we're going to be doing as far as delivering services through the government, and that is customer service. And having come from the private sector, we all know how important customer service is. But it's interesting as to the different concept of what it means when you're in a public entity and what that looks like. So
I would suggest it also can be different depending on the private enterprise as well, because some of them don't know what customer service is either. But that's
the successful businesses do.
Right.
The successful businesses do. And what we were asked to look at is how we change that dynamic.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep.
I know that, having talked many times with Mike Gill.
That's right.
Who's actually going to be here next week.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, he'll overshadow the Department of Labor, of course.
Well,
but,
you
we'll
work
see.
together. You have your portfolio and he has his, but I know you have to work together.
Well, economic development is about all businesses working together. So the Department of Commerce is trying, well, they're not even trying, they're creating new economic opportunities in the state and creating those opportunities. What we have to do, and what our cabinet has been very good at with the direction of the governor, is to be able to implement all of those pieces of the puzzle at the very beginning of what that economic development project looks like. Workforce development is one of them. Mm-hmm. And being able to offer those businesses, whether they're expanding businesses in the state or their businesses being brought into the state, what is it that we can offer them as far as additional skilled, trained employees and educated to the level of what they need? And that's where we come in, and that's where we get to have a lot of fun.
And that's where we want to spend most of the time this evening talking, which is the new apprentice programs that is something that the Department of Labor and the state government is working on. So tell me a little bit about it. What's the vision for the apprentice program in Maryland?
The vision is to create the change in people's mind about what an actual apprenticeship is, first of all. And so our first mission is to go out and educate and to talk to businesses and talk to students and talk to adults about apprenticeships. Because when I first mention apprenticeship to you or those others that are in the studio and probably everybody listening, you think apprenticeships, okay, the construction, the trade industry. You're thinking electricians, you're thinking plumbers. And
we can use them there, don't get me wrong.
And we do.
Because there's a shortage in those professions.
And we have wonderful, wonderful programs that are advancing those apprenticeships, more so now than ever, I think, because we are increasing the brand of apprenticeships over the last 2 years. But what has been untapped in this country, which has been and continues to be very successful in European countries, is the idea of apprenticeships overall, about advancing your academic world in whatever that is, and in your on-the-job training in your professional world, and working them together into what we like to consider a business plan for the employer and the employee to be able to go through a checklist of what those skills are and what your academic needs need to be fulfilled, and how long does that take you to get there. And you don't necessarily need a 4-year college. Some people do if you go into a banking apprenticeship. Or if you're going to go into a cybersecurity apprenticeship, you're going to need to increase your more professional academic career.
But some of that doesn't have to be college education.
And it does not always have to be college education.
Which is one of my soap operas, one of the biggest mistakes we started making 30 years ago when we began talking about, and I think it's important for college-trained professionals in the STEM or STEAM. I prefer STEAM because I think arts are very important
as well. Yes,
but we forgot those who aren't going to go to college. We stopped training a lot of them.
Or we have demanded from college because, and conversely, you hear about the young people that do go and spend 4 years in college. And they come to us and say, now I have this cybersecurity degree, I have my piece of paper, but nobody's hiring me because I don't have a skill. I've learned how to do it, but I've never actually done it. And so the business owners are very hesitant to hire those students right out of college because they don't have the means, the patience, the time. They have a specific need that they're looking for to be able to train them. So what does it look like if you spend part of your day in an academic world and part of your day on the job? And you know that in 3 years, that business that is hiring you to be an apprentice, because you're paid while you're an apprentice, that business has a loyal, retainable employee that has exactly the skills that they need in order to be able to fulfill the functions of the mission.
With that, I just want to remind the listening audience out there, if you have any questions for Secretary Schulz or myself, please give us a call, 410-481-1300. So how do we go about, because it's changing a whole environment in some ways, I think.
It is.
In mindset. And I know education is the first thing.
Well, education is, but you have to start somewhere. So we have a pilot program. We have a youth apprenticeship pilot program that is taking place in 2 school districts because there was a legislative act that occurred, and that is in Frederick and Washington counties. So we have gone to those 2 counties, and we have educated employers out there in the STEM occupations, and we have said, listen, we are going to help you get junior and seniors in high school to come work with you. You're going to help us develop an on-the-job business plan for them. We're going to create their curriculum within the existing curriculum within the schools, and you're going to have an employee for up to 450 hours, and guess what? You're going to pay them at least minimum wage. And then the employers kind of look at us like, okay, I think that's a good idea. And then we have them sit down with somebody to develop their business plan. And they are in hook, line, and sinker. And they now have a student employee that's there, that's being trained at the entry level, learning about the industry, not even possibly sometimes even performing a task, but they're on the job learning. And so we have organizations like Frederick Memorial Hospital that has agreed to hire 10 of these apprentices in 30 available occupations within the health unit. We have a manufacturing company.
So what kind of occupations are they hiring within the hospital so those listeners can understand?
So it's interesting because when you talk STEM in a hospital environment, in healthcare specifically, you of course have your traditional healthcare arenas. You have a pharmacy technician, you have a nurse's aide, but you also have things like dietary nutritionists. You also have things like working with the equipment, the biohealth area where you have laboratory equipment and you have testing materials. We have one student.
So that the quote-unquote techs that run some of the equipment within the hospital.
Absolutely. And we have one of those students that was hired in Frederick County, and he was working out so well in their biohealth, on their medical devices, and tagging them and inspecting them, that they just last month, they offered him a full-time job as a senior in high school because of what he's been able to learn over the last year. So that's a success story. He knew nothing really about the healthcare industry prior to this.
And these jobs can become middle-income jobs eventually.
Well, not only that, but they are a path to a career in that specific industry. And so what we like to say with apprenticeships is that you're not going into an apprenticeship to get a job. That's not the job you're going to have. You're going into an apprentice
for a career.
For a career pathway. And so that technician job will lead to something else within that industry. And there will be further lifelong education and business plans for them to move forward.
So what kind of response, with some of the businesses? I work with, as you know, as a coach, and most of them don't hire people, particularly in the small, mid-sized business sector, because they don't want to waste their time training.
That's right.
And until they understand that training is a return on investment, for example, a business owner working wants to hire a bookkeeper. He's doing it himself. I'm just going to use a quick example. And he considers paying himself $100 an hour. And a bookkeeper is going to be $20 an hour. Not only is he paying himself $100 an hour to do something that's worth $20 an hour, while he's doing that for $20 an hour, he can't be earning the $100 an hour.
That's right.
Because you can't be in 2 places at once. When you do the math and you run it out for a 3-year period, it might cost you $4,000 to train someone, but you might get a return on investment of $20,000. And what I say to a client at that point is, if you could pay $4,000 today and guarantee a return on investment in the stock market of $20,000 in 3 years, would you do it?
Easy, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But they don't think about those kinds of financial equations, because by training someone, they get a tremendous return on an investment both for themselves and for their business.
And we talk to them about that a lot. And we also talk about the return on investment where it comes to retaining a loyal employee, right? Because you don't want to have to spend $4,000 to train them this year, and then in 18 months you're retraining somebody else for that same. So you want to be able to create a relationship with an employee so that everybody understands when this relationship is going to end and how to continue to further it. And that's what you get from these students that are looking to build relationships. One of the things we see in the workplace is there's a lot of transient workers out there where the companies are not seeing 30-year employees anymore. They're seeing a lot of movement and a lot of retraining, especially in that mid-level section.
Well, we can continue talking about the retraining when we come back.
Right.
But I need to go to a commercial break, and when we do come back, I will continue the conversation with Secretary Kelly Schulz of the Maryland Department of Labor. I'm Allan Hirsh, and this is AHA Business Radio on CBS Sports Radio 1300 AM. I read the Baltimore Business Journal, and so should you. The BBJ is the region's leading business-to-business news organization. If it relates to business, the BBJ has it. Learn who is growing, what your competition is doing, who the movers and shakers are, and how to reach them. Visit BaltimoreBusinessJournal.com for breaking news throughout the day. Sign up for daily newsletters. Follow your favorite reporters as they break news via online stories and Twitter. And read the paper each Friday for a deep dive into the stories that matter most. Is your website up to the new Google standards? If it has been a while since your website has been updated, you could be missing out on valuable traffic because potential clients can't find you. At Adventure Web Interactive, our web designers can update your site by optimizing it for search engines and maximizing user experience. Contact Adventure Web today at 410-788-7007 for a free website analysis, or visit us on the web at advp.com.
The Baltimore City Chamber of Commerce is your voice in the Baltimore business community. Our mission is to help our members create lasting partnerships throughout the city and the region by making resources, information, and networking opportunities available to our members. For more information on how to get involved in Baltimore City Chamber of Commerce or to register for one of our upcoming events, visit us at baltimorecitychamber.org. That's baltimorecitychamber.org.
Did you know that in 2015, there was over $1 billion in theft? Construction sites are being targeted for their copper and equipment. Personal injury claims for retailers are up 74%. Your employees spend 2/3 of their day shopping online and using social media. SOS Tech Group offers comprehensive surveillance solutions to battle this growing epidemic. Call 410-559-7020 or visit sostechgroup.com for more info.
Why are your potential customers buying from your competitors? And what are you doing about it? Whether you need to increase foot traffic or web traffic, you need a solid plan to reach new customers. New customers. That's what it's all about, right? At CK Westbury, we can develop and execute a plan designed to reach new customers and build loyalty with your current ones. We are CK Westbury Media and Marketing. 410-832-2426. That's 410-832-2426.
Join the celebration honoring the area's outstanding entrepreneurs and get motivated to start or grow your own business. The U.S. Small Business Administration's 33rd Annual Maryland Small Business Week Awards Luncheon will be held on June 8th at Martins West. Meet the award winners, hear their inspiring stories, and make key contacts with lenders, chambers of commerce, and advisors. For tickets and information, go to mdsbwards.org or call 410-244-3337.
This traffic report is sponsored by Taco Bell. On the north side, the inner loop is slow from Charles Street over to Perring Parkway. JFX is a mess right now. Southbound is heavy from Ruxton Road to Northern Parkway. Northbound jammed up from Fayette Street to Northern Parkway. West side, the outer loop is heavy from 795 down to Baltimore National Pike. Inner loop is slow from Frederick Road up to 70. On the south side, 95 North is still seeing heavy delays from the ICC up to 175. Southbound is slow from the Beltway down to the 895 merge. Westbound 32 seeing brake lights from 295 over to 95. 29 South is busy from 70 down to Route 100, and eastbound 50 is heavy from West Street out to the Severn River Bridge. Have you guys heard about the new loaded taco burrito? It's got all the crunchy awesomeness of a taco wrapped up inside of a burrito, plus double the seasoned beef, just $1.49 at Taco Bell. With your traffic, I'm Johnny Rose on CBS Sports Radio 1300.
Now back to AHA Business Radio, creating aha moments for business, by business, and about business. Once again, here's your host, Allan Hirsh.
Welcome back to the show. In the studio with me is Secretary Kelly Schulz of the Maryland Department of Labor. If you have any questions, comments, or want to join the conversation, please give us a call, 410-481-1300. Before we went to the break, we were just beginning a conversation about retraining.
Sure.
So one of the things that I know, or I've heard, that, 50% of the jobs that are out there today, think about all the cybersecurity and the internet-related jobs, didn't really exist 20, 25 years ago. I mean, the internet is only 25 years old. If I'm not mistaken, it was March 1991 when the first website went up.
That's right.
So think about all the jobs that have been developed in that, just alone in those industries that didn't exist 20, 25 years ago. So, and you talked about at the break what happened at Bethlehem Steel or Sparrows Point, because it wasn't Bethlehem Steel by then.
That's right.
So what are some of the things you're doing in the retraining? Because we'll get back to using the apprentices stuff. I guess we're using the apprenticeship process to help in some of the retraining as well.
Sure. I think apprenticeships is a natural part of that, to be able to provide people with another alternative to what they think that their only choices are, right? So apprenticeship model is an alternative to other different models. We're also working with different grant programs. We have local workforce development boards in all regions of the state that are completely focused on that retraining, to be able to provide those that are on unemployment insurance or those that are looking for a different career pathway to take these retraining classes 100% free of charge, right? We help to write resumes. I know that that's your typical job, Allan.
No, I don't write resumes for people. I don't retrain. Well, I guess I help to train those who are actually running the businesses. I only work with CEOs and business only, trying to help them and teach them what it is to really run a business, because most of them are experts in their field. They know their products and services, but most of them really don't know what it is to run that part of the business.
And most people that are coming out of a career that may not exist anymore, or that they may need to look for different options, don't even know sometimes what those options are. So we're there to help to be able to provide them with different options for their world. The apprenticeships is part of it. We have grant programs that the governor has just expanded this year, thankfully, that look at an earn program, right? An employment advancement right now. And those programs go out to communities, and they're industry based, looking at what areas of training or retraining do we need to do for different industries where they are actively seeking employees right now to be able to fill positions. And those are incredibly, incredibly successful. We talk about a return on investment. We just had our latest study done. The program is in its third program year right now. We just had the synopsis come back from our auditors. It's almost a $15 return on investment for every dollar that we have put into those programs. We're working with demographics of folks that either they have been unemployed or they're underemployed. So
by 15, you're talking about income for the individuals or income from the state through the taxes that are paid because they're now employed, and they're adding to reinvestment by buying products and paying taxes and all of that. And quite possibly off other type of government subsidies. So we're looking at bringing all of that in, and it's a wonderful program. It is the top program in the country. It's being used right now as a national model when we talk about workforce development, because what we have mandated in the state with those grants is that all of the businesses in that particular industry get together, and they say that not only are they going to provide the curriculum and say what they need in order for those employees to be employable,
but those businesses associated with the partnerships are employing them. There's a requirement that they employ them. And overall, we have about an 85% employment rate for
they're
those training
required if they
programs.
really graduate the program and are employable and really learn their stuff.
And they are.
Well, 85% are.
85% of them are employed. Some of them may not have been immediately employed, but they will. And over 90% of them are retained for over a year. And that's a big number, because when we talk about having to go back and retrain those that are just starting with your business, which we had discussed, that's where it gets expensive for the company. So the
Absolutely. If you're spending the money to train someone and they don't last a year or 2 years or 3 years, that's an expensive training because they don't get the return on investment on that
That's right.
On that employee.
That's right. And we are helping to train many different demographics that are out there. The dislocated youth, those that have highest burdens to employment. These programs are working specifically with them, sometimes to be able to help them get their very first job in their, mid to late 20s. And it is extremely successful. And we have over 40 partnerships right now, and we're expanding the program, like I said, into very specific industries like green jobs and cybersecurity. But with those 40 partnerships right now, we have over 600 businesses that are partnered in order to be able to work with that specific training program in order to be able to receive those trained employees. That's where the success comes in, listening to the business about what their needs are.
Yeah. Just remind the listeners that give us a call, 410-481-1300, if they want to ask any questions or have any thoughts on what the state is now doing for retraining apprenticeship programs. You mentioned, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot, that you've started with Washington County and Frederick County.
Yes.
When's it going to spread to the rest of the state?
Hopefully next year. Well, hopefully after the next school year. So we are in the middle of our first school year. The way the legislation was written is that it's a 2-year pilot program. So we're almost finished with the first full year for the school district. We'll go through another year. We will put together our lessons learned, and we'll be able to spread it, hopefully, because when the legislation passed, like all good legislative functions, it was passed with no funding associated with it at all. So again, they said, give it to the Department of Labor and they'll make it happen.
And
we did. And we did, with the help of the Maryland State Board of Education, or Department of Education. So they have been fantastic through it as well.
And I'm sure the local schools, districts in Frederick and Washington County, they love this because it's about taking these high school graduates and having them a job when they graduate. How many of our high school graduates today that are taking the STEM, and I'll get on this high horse again, this STEM program, who come out of high school without intent to go to college, and they have nothing they can do. They have no skills to go to work.
That's right. And I think that the K through 12 educators understand that dynamic has to change. There's so much focus at the federal level and at the state level in order to be able to produce those students that you have that percentage that are going to go on to a 2 or 4 year education.
But it's never been over 50% of the students graduating high school that I know of.
Well, no, and it still isn't.
I know.
Almost there.
So we've been educating 50% of our population, and I hate to, and almost ignoring the other 50% over most of the last 30 years.
And I think a stronger emphasis has been on those career and technical education parts of some of the counties do really
they do great work in the community colleges.
Exactly.
But they have to pay for that. The students have to pay for it when 30 years ago they were getting it part of the public high school systems. And that also increases consumer debt.
That's right. That's right.
Which is another problem.
And I think what is happening right now when we're talking about reinventing and really utilizing the educational system, bringing it back into creating a workforce, as opposed to the focus, which I believe has been for the last couple of decades, on creating the education portion of it. And to be able to tie that in, the community colleges are immensely helpful in this because they can be much more flexible and fluid in what they are doing curriculum-wise than the 4-year universities.
I mean, I know some, I live I used to live in Baltimore. I live in Baltimore City, moved back into the city, grew up in the city. Mm-hmm. But the CCBC, the Baltimore, I guess it's Baltimore County Community College program, they are doing the same thing. Their economic development is called Workforce and Economic Development.
They are amazing partners.
They're working
Yes.
very closely with businesses and the community colleges to find the right kind of courses, careers, to help them find employees, which is
That's
what
right.
you're talking about.
And they do some of the training for, I had mentioned our EARN grants. They are providers. They are doing training for some of us and some other areas as well. And I think it's really important to understand who those training providers are and what they can do to cooperate.
We need to go to the next commercial break. Got to pay for the show. And so when we come back, I will have the AHA Business Trivia Contest and continue my discussion with Secretary Kelly Schulz of the Maryland's Department of Labor. I'm Allan Hirsh of Allan Hirsh Advisors, and this is AHA Business Radio on CBS Sports Radio 1300 AM. In the digital world, first impressions are everything. If your site is slow or outdated, you could be missing out on valuable business. The team at Adventure Web Interactive is ready to help you bring your website up to date so that you can reach new audiences and convert more leads. Contact Adventure Web today at 410-788-7007 for a free website analysis or visit them on the web at advp.com. Don't miss the best of the Second City at Baltimore Hebrew Congregation's 7th Annual Night of the Stars, Thursday evening, May 11th. They have all night as the Second City performs the best sketches, songs, and improvisations from their 52-year history, honoring community leaders Kana Rabi and Helen Solomon and benefiting BHC's youth community. Great seats available now. Tickets and information at baltimorehebrew.org.
At Offutt Kerman, we do things differently. Clients choose us because we understand business, and we're innovative problem solvers. We are attorneys who help business owners excel in both their professional and personal lives, and in the most productive and cost-effective manner. That's what makes us the perfect legal partner for maximizing and protecting your business value and individual wealth. We are a full-service law firm. We are Offutt Kerman. How can we help you? I read the Baltimore Business Journal, and so should you. The BBJ is the region's leading business-to-business news organization. If it relates to business, the BBJ has it. Learn who is growing, what your competition is doing, who the movers and shakers are, and how to reach them. Visit BaltimoreBusinessJournal.com for breaking news throughout the day. Sign up for daily newsletters. Follow your favorite reporters as they break news via online stories and Twitter. And read the paper each Friday for a deep dive into the stories that matter most.
Maryland Nonprofits memberships connect you, your staff, and your board to a network of 1,300 members that spans missions, sectors, and budget sizes throughout Maryland. You become part of a vibrant community that collaborates, discovers, shares ideas and practices, and works together to improve the quality of life in Maryland. Membership helps you raise more money through access to fundraising databases and fundraising trainings. Learn webinars, workshops, and roundtables are free for members. Build relationships with nonprofit peers across the state and more. Visit MarylandNonprofits.org and join today.
The Baltimore City Chamber of Commerce is your voice in the Baltimore business community. Our mission is to help our members create lasting partnerships throughout the city and the region by making resources, information, and networking opportunities available to our members. For more information on how to get involved in Baltimore City Chamber of Commerce or to register for one of our upcoming events, visit us at baltimorecitychamber.org. That's baltimorecitychamber.org.
Now back to AHA Business Radio, creating aha moments for business, by business, and about business. And now it's time for tonight's AHA Trivia Question, where you can win great prizes from the AHA Business Radio Show. Call 410-481-1300 if you know the answer. And now, with tonight's AHA Trivia Question, here's your host, Allan Hirsh.
Well, tonight's trivia question, interesting. We talked about the age of the internet earlier in the show. So tonight's trivia question is, what was the first domain name? I'm sure I found it on Google. I'm sure you all can find it out there. And if you think you know the answer, give us a call, 410-481-1300. And the caller with the correct answer will receive a $25 gift certificate to the Capitol Grill, one of my favorite restaurants in downtown Baltimore. Again, what was the first domain name ever filed?
You mean it wasn't Google?
It wasn't Google. Google didn't exist then.
I know.
I don't even think, I know Google's not 20 years old, and it might not even be 15 years old.
That could be next week's trivia question.
Well, I think I did that once before, and I don't remember it. And I'm in the studio with Kelly Schulz, Maryland Secretary of the Department of Labor. And with that, I lost my train of thought, so I apologize out there. But I want to get back a little bit because you talked about some grants that's going on in the apprenticeship program, and we got a little bit off of that, but it's really about workforce development,
Sure.
So we're really on it. But recently, the Department of Labor and this youth apprenticeship program got some federal funds that you didn't use in-house, that you decided that you needed partners out there.
Right.
So what kind of partners are they, and what kind of process did you go through? And I'd like the people out there listening to know that the private nonprofits and private enterprise is also working with the state to work, not just the Department of Education, but there are private people out there that are trying to build apprenticeship programs as well.
Absolutely. And first of all, I want to give kudos to our apprenticeship team because they're doing a fantastic job. We've increased the number of apprenticeships in 2 years by more than a third. We've increased by about 2,500 apprenticeships overall. And so that's really exciting. But we received last October from the United States Department of Labor, we received $2 million in order to be able to put into a new innovative apprenticeship program. So what we did is the only state in the nation that's doing this is we set aside about $650,000 of that funding to go to outside organizations to be able to create innovative apprenticeship programs. So about, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we put out a press release.
So you were here good timing?
Very good timing. We submitted the names and the organizations of our first 4 apprenticeship grantees, which is a first in the state to be able to have
is it really
these
the
organizations.
first? It's really the first public funded
apprenticeship program, absolutely,
in the country.
Exactly. Well, through this grant.
Through this grant. Okay,
yes,
there might be other states.
So there are other states doing it, but not through this grant. Yeah. So we thought it really important because we need to change the branding. We need for people to understand that apprenticeship programs are vast and they're important and they can be very successful. And that's our mission. That's our goal. So we had selected so far 4 programs to be able to receive this money to be able to start to set up what those apprenticeship programs look like so that they can develop their training curriculum, so that they can put together a system and a business plan to advance their programs.
And I know one of them slightly, but it appears to me they're not necessarily what we can traditionally think of, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, in this one particularly, it's not what we traditionally think of as an apprenticeship program.
That's right.
Or those industries and those jobs. So I think you have some information in front of you, but yeah. Who are they? What kind of programs do they provide?
Well, we're talking about high-tech programs in many of the cases. We're talking about cybersecurity. We're talking about digital media. We're talking about information technology overall. So there's one very unique program, which, again, is the first in the state and one of the first in the country. They are apprenticeship navigators. So what are they doing, right? They're working with businesses to do the training for those businesses. The businesses pay them. They attract the future employees. They put them through training programs, and then the businesses hire them. But they develop that apprenticeship relationship. They develop that academic piece where they need to have that ongoing advanced curriculum throughout the course of the 2 or 3 years. In the
same way you're doing it in Frederick and Washington County.
Exactly the same way.
But this is private, in most cases, nonprofit organizations.
So they are the intermediary. Right, so they are the connector of the two, of the employee and the employer, and they're kind of making it all work and setting up those plans. We also have a tree care service. We have a tree care apprenticeship, which is very exciting because when you talk about some of these industries and the aging population and what needs to be done as far as attrition, this is going to be a very exciting program.
Well, yeah, I guess we always are going to need people to trim trees.
Well, not only trim trees, but when you talk about And I think of it as green energy and green jobs, right? What can we do in order to surpass where we are with the replantings and what needs to be done horticulture-wise? Mm-hmm. We have another program through, it's a manufacturing apprenticeship. Maryland MEP, the manufacturing organization, they've done a lot of training across the state, but they're setting up an actual apprenticeship program for those small businesses, the smallest of the businesses that don't know how to set up an apprenticeship program and do that training.
This is really if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember what the MEP stands for. It's Manufacturing Extension Program, is it not?
Yes, and they've done a lot of boot camp type work out there.
They've done a lot of boot camp. They've done, I think I had their executive director on the show about 2 years ago. They do a lot of work in promoting manufacturing in the state and finding experts and supporting the existing manufacturers in the state.
And that's really important. And they have been able to provide that service that small businesses sometimes don't know how to get, and they don't have time. When we talk about the business owner taking that time out to do that training, MEP has now received an apprenticeship grant to be able to develop that system for them. And so it's very innovative in unique ways where we're leading the forefront to be able to provide services that nobody even knew existed in the past. And so I think that's what's most exciting about what we're doing is we're creating a different way of thinking about our future workforce.
Well, and we need to. We need to find ways to get the retrain, for example, those that came out of the steel industry, to get them. You told me a story at one of the breaks how one of them went through one of your retraining program, is now running is it the Apprentice Program?
The Office of Apprenticeships. He's the director of the Office of Apprenticeships.
And he was originally a steel mill worker.
That's right. That's right. And, it's amazing to have his insight onto where things were. And at the opening of the show, Allan, you asked me why I get up in the morning and why I go to work. It's because we are surrounded by so much innovation and excitement and a new way of doing things and rewarding outcomes that you can't not want to get up and go to the office and learn about the success stories. Because the best part of my day is when somebody from the Office of the Apprenticeship or somebody within workforce development or in one of the other divisions, they come and
Reemployment division.
They give me a success story, a real live indication of what we have done in order to bring dignity back into somebody's life. It's
about to me, and when we talked before the show about why we do what we do. And for me, it's about making a difference in people's lives. And I do that by working with business owners. You're doing that to make a difference in the unemployed and reemploying and making a difference for our young people, middle-aged people who are all trying to be part and a contributing part of our economic development and growth in this state.
That's right. And it's working. And I think that's the most exciting part every day, is to see it working.
So is there, in the last minute and a half or 2 minutes, anything we left out that you'd like to add to just to leave some thoughts to the listeners?
Well, I want all of the listeners to understand that what we're doing it's a little bit unique and it's a little bit different, but there's really a madness to our method and a method to our madness sometimes. But I also want everybody out there to know that this is not for very unique people or different demographics. Everybody can go and utilize the services that we have. That's the other part of it. We are the most underutilized and best kept secret when it comes to workforce development and just wanting to learn more about what's out there. You don't have to, you can go to LinkedIn, you can go to, some of the employer sites, but you can also come in and be able to utilize our services, get very friendly service, and find out what opportunities are, because there is not a day that goes by that there's not a new possibility for a brand new opportunity to walk into somebody's life.
And if you don't look for new opportunities, they will never come to you.
Exactly.
And everybody out there, if you're want a reemployment, you think you're underemployed, look for the opportunities. They're there. Find out what you really enjoy doing and go after the opportunities. No one called about the question, which was what was the first domain name. The answer to the question was symbolics.com, which was filed in March 15th. 1985 by Symbolics Computer Corporation of Massachusetts, couldn't be used for at least another 6 years because the first website actually went up in March 1991. But I do want to thank you, Kelly, for being here this evening. One thing I do want to ask, how can the listening audience or people out there reach you, the Department of Labor, if they have any further questions or challenges that they face?
Sure. I think the easiest way, because we have so many different programs, is to go to our main website, which is DLLR, DLLR.Maryland, spelled out, .gov, DLLR.Maryland.gov. There's a link on the homepage that goes directly to apprenticeship programs, and there's also a revolving home screen that brings you to any of the other programs that I mentioned.
Well, thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it. I want to thank my producer, Joe, this evening. I want to thank the videographer, Larry Wilner of LW BizFlix, for videotaping the show. Please join me next Tuesday at 6 p.m. One of my guests will be Mike Gill, Maryland Secretary of Commerce. I'm Allan Hirsh of Allan Hirsh Advisors, your host. To reach me, you can call 443-977-4500 or visit my website, allanhirshadvisors.com. You can also listen to all of the podcasts of 3+ years of shows on the website ahabizradio.com. You can also follow me on Twitter and on AHA at AHA Biz Radio. This has been AHA Business Radio on CBS Sports Radio, 1300 AM. Join the celebration honoring the area's outstanding entrepreneurs and get motivated to start or grow your own business. The U.S. Small Business Administration's 33rd Annual Maryland Small Business Week Awards Luncheon will be held on June 8th at Martins West. Meet the award winners, hear their inspiring stories, and make key contacts with lenders, chambers of commerce, and advisors. For tickets and information, go to mdsbwards.org or call 410-244-3337. Do retirement issues keep you up at night? Are you holding a portfolio filled with underperforming but costly investments? If so, call Troy Brewer, Senior VP of Investments at Wells Fargo Advisors. Troy has been helping clients for over 22 years and has a sound process to help get clients on track. Call the Brewer Investment Group today at 410-494-6815. It all starts with a conversation. Maybe it's time to have a fresh look at your retirement plan.
This has been a paid advertisement by the Brewer Investment Group of Wells Fargo Advisors, LLC.
I'm Allan Hirsh, and I trust my digital marketing to the experts at Adventure Web Interactive. They have grown my Twitter following by 400%, increased my web views by 200%, and helped me reach new audiences. From content creation to social media management, Adventure Web has been an invaluable partner in helping me maximize my online presence. Contact them today at 410-788-7007 or visit them on the web at advp.com. Don't miss the best of the Second City at Baltimore Hebrew Congregation's 7th Annual Night of the Stars, Thursday evening, May 11th. They have all night as the Second City performs the best sketches, songs, and improvisations from their 52-year history, honoring community leaders Kana Rabi and Helen Solomon and benefiting BHC's youth community. Great seats available now. Tickets and information at baltimorehebrew.org.
At Offutt Kerman, we do things differently. Clients choose us because we understand business. And we're innovative problem solvers. We are attorneys who help business owners excel in both their professional and personal lives, and in the most productive and cost-effective manner. That's what makes us the perfect legal partner for maximizing and protecting your business value and individual wealth. We are a full-service law firm. We are Offutt Kerman. How can we help you?
Maryland Nonprofits memberships connect you, your staff, and your board to a network of 1,300 members that spans missions, sectors, and budget sizes throughout Maryland. You become part of a vibrant community that collaborates, discovers, shares ideas and practices, and works together to improve the quality of life in Maryland. Membership helps you raise more money through access to fundraising databases and fundraising trainings. Learn webinars, workshops, and roundtables are free for members. Build relationships with nonprofit peers across the state and more. Visit Maryland SymphonyNonprofits.org and join today.
Symphony Placements is Baltimore's leader in flexible staffing and human resource solutions. From temp to perm, direct hire, and payroll outsourcing, Symphony Placements continues to exceed their clients' expectations. Woman-owned, certified minority business, and ranked on the Inc. 5000 list. A full-service staffing agency that specializes in administrative, legal, healthcare, IT, call centers, hospitality, and convention services. They bring harmony to your staffing. Visit symphonyplacements.com for additional information. That's symphonyplacements.com.
Save your appetite for the 6th Annual Taste of Pikesville, Wednesday, April 26th at the Doubletree by Hilton in Pikesville. This casual night of food, festivity, and fun will feature signature dishes from 45 restaurants, along with complimentary beer, wine, cocktails, music, raffles, and other surprises. Proceeds support the Baltimore Hunger Project and the Pikesville Chamber of Commerce. For tickets, visit tasteofpikesville.com or call 410-484-2337.
The opinions expressed in the preceding paid program do not necessarily represent those of WJZ AM 1300, CBS Radio, its employees and sponsors.
CBS Sports Radio is WJZ AM Baltimore, WJZ FM HD3 Catonsville, Baltimore, the flagship station for Maryland Terrapin women's basketball and Maryland Terrapin men's lacrosse.